Sherri Kohr is our classroom skills advisor. Went to Kenyon College in Ohio, taught at George Mason University, taught education students how to lead hands-on science in the classroom. I always told her if every education department did that, there would be no need for reset. But there is a big need because very few are doing it. And so Professor Kohr is available to visit your classroom, make observations, and provide suggestions. She's done my class, and it's very helpful. So keep that in mind. Just contact me or Sherri, and let us know when you're doing an experiment, and if Sherri's available, then she will do that. So Sherri has a handout, which each of you should have in front of you. Thank you.
That just says create a suitcase of routines. I'm going to backwards just 2 steps. One of my jobs before I started teaching at George Mason, I taught K through 8 science at a Jewish day school in Fairfax, Virginia called Gesher. And in Hebrew, Gesher that's the Hebrew word for bridge. And one of my last years teaching there, every year we did a science fair or something. And one year our whole thing was about Gesherim, or bridges. And I have a whole curriculum for bridges, for K through 8. Hands-on, activities. So if anybody's interested in trying to get some ideas, your presentation works great because you're working with some older kids, and your graphics are amazing. And if I was an old woman, I might want to become an engineer now because your graphics are great. And I say that after writing all these curriculums and then looking at your graphics, I just learned a ton. So it was kudos. Anyway, now why I'm up here. As John said, I am a lover of teaching, a lover of science, and a lover of kids. And so I'm very lucky, and then I got to put all those things together in helping adults and teachers teach science to students. And so I can be a resource to each and all of you, if you'd like, by coming into your classroom, helping you come up with experiments to do, ideas of what to teach, working with your classroom teacher to come up with what experiments would emphasize what she or he is already teaching in the classroom, that kind of thing. And at all of these workshops, I try to give you some pointers, some ideas of things that you can do in your classrooms that might be helpful. And this time, I thought I would just give you a few ideas that probably you can use with no matter what you're teaching. Some of us are lucky enough to have lots of help in the classroom, and some of us are not as lucky and it's just us. And so the more you have in your back pocket, the more tricks that you have in your suitcase, the more likely you're going to feel successful in the classroom because you always have something that you can pull upon to get kids' attention back, move things along, etc. So I just thought I would quickly go over 5 routines that have worked for me that might work for you. One thing that I like to do is something called a mind warm-up. So some of you walk into a classroom where the kids are already seated. Some of us have kids come to us. I always find that transition is sometimes difficult. So a lot of times I'll take whatever I taught the last time and make up 2 or 3 sentences about it, put it up on the blackboard with a lot of mistakes in it. She's wearing a black dress. Well, the kids come in, they read it, and they want to find my mistakes really fast. But it's always about whatever I taught the last class. I tell them to sit down, find the number of mistakes, and then hold up the number of fingers for the number of mistakes that they found. So this can all be done quietly. It doesn't get loud, it doesn't get chaotic. And the kids will come in, they'll read the 2 sentences about whatever we did last week, and they'll hold up however many fingers they think the mistakes they found. I'll call on somebody, they'll tell me one of the mistakes they found. They get a kick out of the fact that the teacher makes mistakes. And how cool is that they could find the mistakes that I put up on the board? It helps remind them about what we did last week. It gets them seated and focused on the topic quickly. And you start off the class with the kids feeling successful because they found out that what you wrote down, where the errors were. So that's something called a mind warm-up. Anything that you can think of to get them to recall what they did last week and to get them into the mood for what you're doing now. Tom said that, sorry, he's a great stand-up comic. I think 95% of teaching is being a stand-up comedian, entertainer. Never stand still while you're teaching. I'm having a rough time now because I find it very hard to stand still. So moving around the classroom is always good. At the workshop we did last week, I did a little dance for everybody and went home and my foot was killing me. So I'm not doing that for you guys this time. But even if you, I think last time it was just about getting kids' attention. Even if you do something silly, like start doing jumping jacks in front of the classroom, kids are going to go, that's not normally what happens in my classroom, and they're going to stop and they're going to pay attention. You can't do that all the time, but every once in a while you can do something silly like that to just get their attention. A lot of teachers use, clapping routines. I'm not much of a clapper, but every once in a while I'll bring in a kazoo. Or if you take those duck boat tours in Washington, they give you really good quacker things that make great sounds. That's how I get the kids' attention. And I try to use a different one every time I teach, because then they're novel and the kids find them interesting. But any kind of movement or, I saw a teacher teach once, she had a little song that she made up, that she sang every single time she wanted to get their attention. And I don't remember the words, sorry. But it was, it was very clever, it was cute. If you like music and you like to sing, great idea. Another thing I like to do is, especially, I know we're running late, so I'm not going to do it now, but I would make all of you stand up and wave your hands and something because you get a 7th inning stretch. We've been sitting here forever. There you go. And it's hard for adults to sit, it's hard for kids to sit. So anything that you can do to get the kids up and moving, I think can be helpful. Another routine that I like to throw into my classes is something called quick shares. Asking kids to talk to their partner and say, come up with a question that we can suggest to your teacher to put on the next quiz about what we learned today. And then they'll talk about it, lets them review what we learned. They love to make up test questions for the teacher, and it gets them to work in partnership. I don't remember which presenter said it, but another, I think it was you, Harold, when you have a lot of kids asking questions and you're the only one in the group. You can do something called just doing quick share. Ask the kids to help each other. You guys can't get your bulb to light? Oh, look, that table has their bulb lit. Walk over there and let them help you. See what they can show you. So that you're getting because that's what scientists and engineers do. We share, we communicate, we share results. We have to be able to collaborate. You're teaching those skills to your students as much as whatever the content area is that you're teaching. So quick sharing is, it's a good tool for you. As a teacher, it gives you a little bit of help. It's also a great tool for your students to get them used to talking to each other and looking to each other for answers, not always just to the teacher. As fun as I am, and as humorous as I am, I run a really, really tight ship when I teach. And I recommend that each of you do as well. Never talk unless there is total silence in the room. Never try to talk over students. You have to have their complete attention before you begin speaking. And I think that sometimes we as educators get a little uncomfortable with the silence, but honestly, 40 years of experience, if you stand there and don't say one word, the kids will quiet down, I promise. They'll tell each other to quiet down, the teacher's standing there. The worst thing that you really can do is try to talk over your students. You won't be successful. I know a kindergarten teacher at work, but this works with older kids as well, always starts her class, and whenever she's trying to get their attention, she always holds up 5 fingers, 5 eyes on me, 5 eyes on me, 2 eyes, your 2 knee eyes, and your heart eye, all on me, 5 eyes on me. And she just says that over and over and over again, and the kids, it's cute, the kids get it, and when she does it, it's a routine that she has set up, and the kids know exactly what that means. Something like that may not work for you as an educator, but if you can come up with a routine that you consistently use, the kids will figure that out. And then the last one that I have today is it's really important to just mix up your teaching styles. I kudos to somebody that can just do lecture. I would find that difficult. But moving around is really good. I always say that it's very difficult to keep students' attention if the entire lesson is teacher focused. They're having to listen to you all the time. As much as you can of the learning that you can put back into their hands, the better off you're going to be, and the more successful you're going to be, as well as the more successful the kids are going to be. Another one that I like to do is I'll have, if I want to review what I've been teaching, I'll tell all the kids to stand up. How many of you got the light bulb to light? Sit down. They all sit down. Okay, everybody stand up again. How many of you found that you were able to, to build a parallel circuit with only 3 wires? Stand up. Again, you're reviewing, they're moving, they're up and down, and you're gonna have more success because they're not sitting. And then another simple thing that's really easy to do is just leave blanks in what you're saying. So for instance, I really thank you for your attention. Does anybody have any
questions?
Oh, questions, good job. And that's it. So that's just another technique. That's all I have to share. Any questions?
One
Sure.
comment and a question. The lectures. I find that kids, and again, we're talking 5th graders.
Right.
They really seem to appreciate being treated as adults as opposed to kids.
I agree.
When I call on somebody, I always say yes ma'am or yes sir, and I'm constantly asking them for feedback. Have you seen this? Have you, again, I think it's a matter of getting their attention by getting them really involved in what you're talking about, as opposed to just hitting them with facts and hoping they remember it. One of the greatest things that's happened is that kids are saying, we went to Ocean City and I saw a suspension bridge, I saw a trust fund. And I've asked them, come in to me next week and tell me what you saw. So again, I think the concept of treating them like adults as opposed to school kids.
I think that works for children as young as 5 years old and up. And you have to know your audience. I don't think what you do would work with kindergartners. I think we have to make it more interactive with kindergartners. This is way too complicated, obviously. But I don't think that we could sit and expect a kindergarten class, for instance, to sit and listen to us for more than 3 or 4 minutes at a time.
Except if you got a goat with a
Well, it's so funny that you said the 3 billy goats gruff, because my whole kindergarten bridge thing was about 3 billy goats gruff, and the bridges that the kids made to get those goats from one side to the other was awesome, awesome. So you need to know your audience.
So do you have this as a resource somewhere with some of the ideas that you outlined?
I don't really have anything written up. John has I videotaped several of these talks, and they're on the Reset website.
YouTube site.
On the YouTube site for Reset, so you can watch some of the ones that I've already done. And as I said at the beginning, a lot of times it's very hard to do these kinds of workshops sometimes because every teacher has individual needs and concerns. I'm available to come and watch you teach, and then we can talk about very specific things that will work for you, what works for your style, what works for your subject, what works for your classroom environment, etc. So mostly what I'm throwing out are just my experiences and techniques that I've sort of built up over the years.
In terms of running a tight ship, one thing that John has mentioned in the past that we rely on very heavily, and it's worked very well for us, is relying on the teachers for the handling the discipline. If we need something to say, we just look over at them and they do whatever they normally do. That's what the kids know. They react to it immediately, and we have their undivided attention.
Right, and that's the way that Reset is intended to work, and the classroom teacher is required to stay with you in the classroom. So again, if there's an issue, then that's somebody, John or I can help you negotiate that if we have a teacher that isn't there doing what he or she needs to do. But hopefully you're all in situations where the teachers are there supporting you and assisting.
So we have some support staff. I think our model is a little different than everyone else's. We deal with entire classes at the same time.
You have huge groups. The time I've watched
I
you
have like
teach,
50
huge.
or 60 students, sometimes 70 at the same time. But I think I learned this from you. Actually, I'm pretty sure I contribute this to you. But while speaking, a kid or two may be talking or something, and I like to move around when I talk.
Right.
So I will go over to them, and I just start talking right over them. And then they look up and they quiet down, and then they start listening. And they're like,
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah. Or I just change the tone of my voice. Instead of talking louder, I'll talk softer. And then they have to listen a little harder to hear what I'm saying,
Right.
and they'll stop.
Movement,
stop talking.
changing your strategy,
Yeah.
not being monotone. Sometimes all you have to do is just walk over to the person who's talking and just stand right here and start continuing what you're saying, and they get intimidated and they stop. See, good student. But yeah, that's a great idea, and you work with huge groups.
Two concepts. One, I always try to get the teacher on my side before I even start.
Sure.
Okay? Because
Bring them lollipops and Tootsie
No,
Rolls.
whatever. But just, get her on my side. And the other thing, what I've said to the kids when they get out of line is, I said, look, I'm not here, so that you don't have to listen to her. And
Which is something you can say to a 5th or 6th grader. So again, it's knowing your audience.
But seriously, getting the teacher on your side before you start is, because if the teacher's not interested in what you're doing, you got a problem.
Well, I think Reset's really great about working with teachers who really want us there and who are really enthusiastic about our being there and realize that this is a plus for their class. So we're very lucky in that regard. Thank you.